Hi, I'm Louisa Higgins, and this is Easy Arts for Everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can receive our videos just as soon as they're finished. So today we're going to continue our discussion of using artwork as a text. And when I say artwork, this could also be dance, theater, and music, but we're going to concentrate on visual arts for this lesson. And this is based on a technique called visual thinking strategies that was developed by Philip Yenwine at the Met in New York City. And I was lucky enough to hear him speak, and I love this technique. And you know, I've been teaching for over 27 years, and long ago we never thought of artworks as text for study, but they really are, and they really break down barriers and allow students to access learning in a truly universal way. So I have two paintings up here, and these are posters that I mounted on foam core board, and of course if you're teaching through distance learning you can have a slide. And they are the Kiss by Gustav Klimt, that was painted by an Austrian painter early 1900s. And this one is called the Banjo Lesson. It's by Henry Ossawa Turner. And he's the first African-American painter to gain international acclaim. And so this was painted in the early part of the 1900s. So I want to take a look at these two paintings. And so using the visual thinking strategies, what we're trying to do is have an inclusive discussion in our classroom with our students. And this would work very well on Zoom with people making comments, children making comments in the chat, or raising their hand and being called upon. And what we are after is really complex conversations about the artwork that we're studying, and they support critical thinking, you know, what is happening in these images, visual literacy, understanding what you're looking at, and also communication and collaboration skills. So let's take a look at the first painting, and we're going to use the three questions. So the first one is, what's going on in this picture? And so, oops, this is the first one, the kiss. What's going on in this picture? And it loses a little something as a poster because this painter used a lot of metallic leaf, like gold and silver leaf. And I've actually seen the original. It's quite grand. It's a big painting and very, very beautiful. So you open that up, what's going on in this picture, and students will start to give you their feedback. And the thing I love about this is students are much more observant than we give them credit for, and certainly much more observant than adults. And so obviously, you know, it's called The Kiss, and they will talk about, you know, there's a man and a woman, and he's giving her a kiss, and there's flowers and so forth. And as you're doing your questioning and drawing answers from the students, you'll go into, what do you see that makes you say that? So what you're asking for is evidence, like what do you see, you know, because you might talk about the expressions on their face, or what are the different elements that they're noticing, and what makes them make their assertions. So it's really causing them to dig deeply. And finally, when it starts to slow down a bit, you can say, what more can we find? So you'll have like really the surface questions, very easy questions, and then you have the more complicated things that are happening in image. And this will vary image to image. But it's important that you give students wait time. I know sometimes specifically when you're doing distance learning, say over Zoom, 5 seconds can seem like 5 minutes, but it's important to give students time to absorb. And at first when you put up an image, you want to give a minute or two to just really look. Don't say anything, just look. So wait time is important. The teacher should probably summarize at the end just to give that feedback. This is everything I heard from the students. And then take the opportunity to have students write 2 or 3 sentences. And it's very meaningful and very helpful strategy for EL learners because they're not just generating sentences and writing out of thin air. They have had a meaningful and thoughtful discussion, and then they're writing about that. So the second piece that I put up with this to contrast is the Banjo Lesson. And we would go through the same process. What do you see? Why are you saying that? And what more can we find? And this is a really interesting painting because, especially if you're comparing and contrasting the two, the color is different. This is two people in a very different close embrace. And it's very thoughtful. And it's meaningful. And so when you get into social and emotional, you can do a lot of talk with your students about the feelings involved in this, because this is a grandfather teaching his grandson a lesson at home. And how does that feel compared to this one? What does that evoke? So let me just turn this around. and give you some how to extend activities. So again, like I mentioned, compare and contrast. If you work with two works of art as I have in these lessons, it gives you a real ability to talk about them between the two. You could write dialogue. What would this grandfather be saying to his grandson and vice versa? What would these two, this couple, be saying to each other? That would make a really interesting writing experience. Again, like I mentioned before, explore the feeling. You know, we're in a world where students have a lot of feelings and they need an outlet for that. And so using art as the beginning point for discussion is really meaningful. Choose cultural relevancy. I've done that in this series of paintings where I have different people represented, and you want to include artwork that makes your students feel represented, that is inclusive. And finally, you can use an image that matches any topic. So if you're studying something at your particular grade level, you can choose an image that goes with that and delve into that as a launching point. So you're not held to like it's just traditional art pieces. It could be just about anything, a photograph or a nature image, all sorts of things. And certainly this works with music, it can work with a dance sequence, it can work with a theater scene. So I encourage you to try this out. Like I said, I've been teaching a very long time and got turned on to this a few years ago, and it really is an excellent way to enliven your classroom and to really bring the arts in an integrated way into your everyday teaching. Thank you.